Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Murder, where I'll be talking about and reviewing an episode of Poirot, Murder, She Wrote, Diagnosis Murder, or Jonathan Creek. Today, I'm looking at Murder, She Wrote, Danse, Diabolique. Or as I like to call it, that time I was kept guessing. We begin the episode with this guy giving ballet narration to a group of people, including Jessica.
Even death cannot triumph over love.
But he goes on to say the ballerina died, the second of two performers that died after the performance. This guy turns into an exposition fairy, saying the dance is cursed, but screw that. Jeffrey is getting his wife Claudia to play the lead, which this girl finds funny, and this hairstyle choice Damien will be joining her. Flamboyant bow. Edward will be playing Death and putting the show together, which earns him a slow clap. Savage. And as they begin rehearsal, Lily mocks Claudia for her age, and Barry says part of the stage is jammed. Oh wait, no it's not. Barry shoots his shot with Lily but is shot down, so let's dramatically pose. And the pressers sit down to tea with Jessica to ask her to bring light to the maybe curse on the production. At the theatre, Claudia tells Lily off for talking to her like crap, but she doesn't care and takes a swipe at her age again, even though she looks flawless and stunning. Edward hints to Jessica about a troubled past involving drugs, and she goes to see Barry, who explains an accident ended his ballet career, which is why he's now a stagehand. Lily and Edward make out before she asks him for a favour, which he's reluctant to do, but she threatens him. And in rehearsal, Claudia messes up and he goes nuts at her and calls the practice to a halt. Claudia catches Lily dancing her role, and to make matters worse, Jeffrey tells her that Lily is indeed replacing her, so Claudia gives her an earful. Oh good, they've switched lead dancers. I didn't want Claudia to die, so I guess Lily's on the chopping block now, with the killer either being Edward or Barry. Jessica checks the ropes again and discovers she's got chalk on her, just like she brushed off Jerry right before the accident. And he admits it was a publicity stunt, which Jessica isn't impressed with. During practice, Damien and his ponytail complains that Lily is too clumsy and she stomps off in a diva strop. So Damien complains to Jeffrey, who tells him, tough, the show is in 3 days. Claudia goes to Jessica to apologise on Jeffrey's behalf, and they talk about age, with Jessica giving her a pep talk. And at the next rehearsal, Edward yells at everyone when they can't find Lily and sends Barry to go look for her. She's practically naked in front of Jeffrey, which Barry is salty about, and leaves, with Edward lurking. Hello! And on opening night, Damien gets a flower delivery, and Barry and Lily have a little domestic, which Barry takes out on the wall. Jessica takes a seat as a rose is switched out, and Claudia rushes to her seat, so enjoy this ballet and shove this rose up your nose. Claudia admits that Lily is good, as Death rocks up, pulling a face, and rocking a vibe that's very The Clown from that Voyager episode. This dance is on for some time. Right, I'm confused. Clearly Lily is going to die, but I can't decide who's going to kill her. Edward has a past with pills and he's literally playing Death. But then again, Barry has the romantic history with Lily and is sporting a weird wrap on his hand. This one has me stumped. Lily dies in the ballet, but instead of rising like she's supposed to, she stays down and is of course dead for real. Jessica spies a red spot on Lily's hand as the police suddenly appear. She's been dead for like 2 seconds. Were they in the audience? Anyway, Kanicki here is played by Blake Lively's dad, and he's thrilled to meet Jess. Barry says the rose is supposed to be fake and has been switched out, so Jessica accuses him, and then Jeffrey adds that Lily caused Barry's accident, so he throws back that they were in the dressing room together. Kanicki thinks Jeffrey is sus for causing the set to crash, and Jessica catches Claudia in a lie about why she was late.
Am I a suspect?
Yes, you are. Jessica visits Damien to ask him about the rose, which he says he didn't really notice. Why are you holding a hairdryer like a gun, dude? Anyway, Jess admires his flower gifts, the rose bunch seemingly missing one, and afterwards she finds Edward crying over Lily's death. Now I'm really confused. Jessica goes to the flower shop and puts on a hammy voice to get information, only to discover that Damien himself ordered the roses, so she hauls his ass to the police, who claims it was just a prank hand to cut Lily's hand as payback for being a diva. Wow, this hair is even worse from this angle. The autopsy report comes in saying Lily was poisoned, but not by the rose, props, or anything she was wearing, which puzzles Jessica into a fade to black. She and Kanicki rummage through the costume racks until they find one that smells oily, and then watch an old tape looking for something.
Whoops, that's it.
Jess doesn't tell Kaniki what she spotted, but does drop a life philosophy.
There are 3 things you can never get enough of, Lieutenant. Chocolate, friends, and the theatre.
Hard agree on that last part. At the time of writing, I was on stage last week playing Little John in a panto of Robin Hood, and last night I saw a stage version of Murder on the Orient Express, which was incredible. The pair poke around backstage, discovering the murderer. It's Yorick! And then Jeffrey announces that they're switching to a different ballet, but rehearsals will have to wait while they fix the set. Now go away, everyone. Shadowy Edward takes the lift to go get the skull, but Jess surprises him and drops it, smashing it because Edward didn't want to get poisoned by the needles he planted in the cheeks, which he denies, although his costume was the oily one from the lift. And despite wanting the same choreography as the original, he made Lily touch the skull, even though the original star didn't, and that killed her. Turns out Edward was back on the drugs, hence the mood swings, which Lily was blackmailing him for. And after her dressing room drama with Jeffrey, Edward decided enough was enough. The episode ends with Claudia telling Jeffrey she's giving up ballet in order to be a teacher. Cheers! Okay, this was a great episode, which kept me guessing all the way through. I chose to cover this one because the premise intrigued me, and while I was disappointed that there were only 2 previous ballerina deaths, I was hoping more for a Jonathan Creek grinning man situation. It still played really well. Yes, Lily was a bitch, and I wanted to punch her stupid dumb face every time she laughed at Claudia, but her role kept the suspect pool big enough, although as I said, I narrowed it down to Edward and Barry. Claudia and Jeffrey were both Jessica's friends, so it couldn't be them. And there can't be more than one killer with a mullet that silly, and Death Takes a Dive already has dibs on that. So that eliminated Damien, which left only Edward and Barry. What this episode did so well was include enough information and suspicious behaviour to cloud not only who the killer was, but also the method of murder. I did not see that booby-trapped skull coming. And even after Jessica accused Barry right away, which eliminated him as a suspect, I still wasn't convinced it was Edward because of that seemingly genuine scene of him mourning Lily's death, which was explained at the end as being due to his drug usage. I highly recommend this one. I even went straight on Twitter and recommended it to Pushing Up Roses, which I try not to do too often, as I'm still bugging her to do A Body to Die For, and she's already covered 3 of my recommendations already. But that's how much I enjoyed this episode, and think it's cleverly written. Kaniki was a change from the usual asshole cop, which is always a welcome reprieve, and I loved how into everything Jessica got, putting on silly accents, nosing around the backstage area, getting involved in everyone else's business, and living her best life watching all that ballet. So yeah, I had a great time with this one, and I hope you all do too. We have one victim, Lily Rowland, who was killed with a fast-acting poison via a cheeky skull, engineered by our killer, Edward Hale, who was frankly sick of Lily's unacceptable behaviour and decided to silence her for good. So there you have it. That was Danse Diabolique. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot, or consider subscribing if you want to keep investigating with me. Alternatively, feel free to check out my other YouTube channels. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and keep an eye out for clues.